Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Devil's Advocate. I'm going to be positive today, and I give you a few words of wisdom from myself, at least. Okay. First 5 minutes, absolutely poor. Understand everybody's frustration. We looked unprepared. We looked very laboured, and we looked very unfit again. And those two goals came from very, very poor, lackadaisical opportunities. However, from that very moment, we very much came back into the game. I thought we were actually very good for the majority of the game. I thought we played it around well. We attacked him. We didn't give him any breathing space, and we got our goal. Continue with that. Got our next goal in the second half. Continue with that. Got our penalty, and we won the game. And it's 3 points. At this moment, this can be the type of game that kind of changed your season. We played poorly in the first game, got 3 points. Very poorly in the second game, 35 minutes, we were actually very good. Lost all 3 points. But this can be the type of game that changed it for you. Joined today by Jonathan, Freddie, John, Silk, who I haven't seen in a very long time. Very much looking forward to speaking to you. And of course, Hammer as well. Thank you very much, boys, for joining me today. I want to get your words of wisdom now. Jonathan, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I think that first 5 minutes just pretty much summed up the entire start of this season. Just lack of preparedness, just look off the pace. Just like they were like a group of players that were just thrown out onto the pitch together. Had never met each other before. Again, it's just we've seen it the last three games. But like you said, Mark, they composed themselves. I think the timing of the goals was key as well. Eriksen's goal came just before the 20-minute mark. We were unlucky not to get an equaliser soon after. Casemiro's miss from about 3 yards out was pretty poor. But look, he made up for that very quickly into the second half. I think that early goal in the second half was key. It just kept the crowd on side. It just meant we were just pushing for that key winner. And like you said, it did come through that Bruno penalty. The only concern then was the last 11, 12 minutes. I don't know where the added time came from, but just kind of retreat into themselves against 10-man Forest, and they kind of invited a little bit of pressure onto them. But look, I mean, like you said, the way we started the season, 3 points is all that mattered today, and we got that in the end.
Absolutely right. Well summed up there. And just two new lads, or new faces, at least in the comments. The guy offside, you might want to get back onside. Thanks for joining us. And Box as well, we're back. Title win coming. I know he's probably a little bit optimistic there. I know he's probably taking the mick a little bit there. But I love the positivity, so that's great. Freddie, I know you've been a poorly man over the last few weeks, but let me just say, as I said backstage, it's great to see you here with us. It's great to see you well, and really great to see you back with us. So how are you, buddy, after that?
Very well, thank you, Mark. Thanks for that. I don't know why. I was just very stressed. It was a very stressful game. We never do anything easy. We always have to do everything the hard way, don't we? But yeah, it was a game of two halves in the end. As Jonathan said, I think the goals came at a good time. The first 5 minutes, I mean, just atrocious. I don't know what the goalie's doing for the first goal. I think he's had a very shaky game, which is quite unorthodox, considering I think he's been one of our more better and more confident players the first few games of this season. And the second goal was just ball watching. No one jumped. We were zonal marking. It just showed that we just hadn't come out of the blocks. But I think fortuitously, I think it's good that Forest scored when they did. It gave us, in the end, 95 minutes to sort of claw back into the game. And I think we did that very well. I don't think there's any sort of scenario where we were going to lose that game from then on. It's just a shame it took 2 goals to sort of get us to realise that, because against better opposition, and I feel like I'm saying this every week, against better opposition, that's not going to happen. But I think we looked more balanced today. I think the midfield were much better than they have been. It was good to see all 3 midfield players get on the score sheet. I think it's a bit concerning that none of our attackers have scored yet in the first 3 games of the season. But it's another 3 points ultimately. So 2 wins out of 3 isn't actually that bad. And I think we just need to sort of remain level-headed, look at the bigger picture, and just continue getting points. And hopefully things will click into place in the coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, if you remember, take it back 12 months, we'd already lost the first 2, right? And we were all doom and gloom, feeling the same way at that point. And then look where it went. And now I'm not saying it's going to be an absolute carbon copy, but there's still a long way to go. Okay, we're still finding our feet. we can look at certain teams and think, oh, they're playing well. City haven't been great. Newcastle were terrible against City. They were very good against Villa. Arsenal have been poor in about the first 2 games. Nobody wants to talk about them like we will do about United. Okay, but try to relax a little bit. It will be okay, and I'm sure that things will. Once the window's closed, once we get a number 9 in, I think that's adamant again today. Kai, myself, and Stu the other day on the reaction talked about a number 9 and how major of a change it will be. If you think about, particularly against Tottenham, okay, I'll just go into that very quickly, and Hammer and John, I will come to you. Apologies, guys. Against Spurs, we were good for 35 minutes because we were able to play how we wanted to. However, what happened was Spurs then cut the sauce off, basically overloaded the midfield, stopped Mount, Bruno and Casemiro doing that wanted to do. And of course, because we got 3 strikers that are doing all the same thing that aren't a proper number 9, it's easy to cut off that sauce. Okay, if you get someone like Højlund in or someone that's actually a number 9, he'll be able to do something different, play off the shoulder, that kind of thing, and it makes it a better dimensional game because you've got various ways of playing. Okay. Anyway, let me move on. Hammer, great to have you with us again, my buddy. All the way from the States, of course. How are you after those 3 points?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling pretty good now that we played well. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure I tweeted out that I might have to turn the game off soon after those first 5 minutes. Because I'll be honest, if they scored a third, I was gonna turn the game off.
I bet you're glad you didn't, right?
I am very glad I didn't. I mean, yeah, I guess you can say we responded well. I think it was I think Marc, you said it was 2 sloppy goals, right? The second goal, the freaking guy didn't even know the ball came off his head until it hit him. You know what I mean? Like, it was a ricochet and then it came off his head and went in the goal. And in the first goal, I think, first of all, I don't know how Rashford gets beat and pace to a ball. I hope somebody laid into his ass at halftime. But that one was just unfortunate. It came off a corner, an opportunity like that. And I think I saw some people talking about Onana looked sloppy because he let that goal in kind of easy. Okay. That's a friend of mine.
Oh, is it? Welcome, Hammer's friend, yeah. Falcon Swimmer. There you go. We're all friends here, aren't we?
Yeah. Nah, man. But yeah, I think if you look at it from behind, Onana chose his position early. He tried to go right off the bat, and that just wrong for him. So he wasn't going to save that anyways because he was committed. But yeah, we responded well, and our goals were nice, man. I think they were good goals that we scored. Who knew we could do some shit from a set piece? Isn't that slightly refreshing to see?
Yeah, good to see. I think there was a lot of talk about that in the last couple of games. Yeah. Being dominated in set pieces and also being very poor from our own set pieces. So that was obviously refreshing to see today. You're right.
So yeah, man, I think it was a good comeback, and I'm be honest, I like seeing the goal scores too. I think seeing Eriksen score was good. I think he needs to get some more juice in his game because he's been kind of flat since last season. And then freaking Casemiro, he missed that header, so he had to make up for it. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. I mean, it was absolutely torrential rain, and you can see prior to that, defender completely misjudges it, goalkeeper misjudges it. Casemiro almost pings him in the face, and it was so difficult to actually do anything with it. It looked awful. But, in those sorts of circumstances, sometimes it's a lot harder than we give it credit for. Just quickly come to a comment here. The good thing about today is 2 wins out of 3. The bad thing is the slow start and the horrible performance. The ugly thing is the midfield and how they are reacting. Some good points in. Get some more coming in. Get liking. Loads of you in the comments at the minute, and I really appreciate that, of course. And as I will always say, it gets boring, I know, but please make sure you're liking and subscribing. John, great to see you, my good man. How are you, first of all? And of course, how are you feeling after those 3 points?
I'm doing good, and it's good to be back. I mean, obviously, I feel pretty good given the way the match went. I don't know, was it ever in doubt when it got to 2-2? I must admit, I possibly got overconfident at that point, and perhaps even the players. I saw some sloppy finishing in the second half, and I thought to myself, they think there's going to be another one coming, which in a way is a good thing, but you still need to keep focused and keep on it. And when we blew that free kick just after the red card, I thought that's sloppy. I probably blamed Dalot more than I would Bruno for that situation, because Dalot has to be the person who's ready for this because he knows what's coming. Dalot is the only person on the pitch in that moment that knows exactly what's coming. So I blame him for that. But anyway, that's a micro moment. I have some sympathy for Casemiro as well. He's actually probably one of the best finishing number sixes I can remember. I mean,
Yes.
Makelele is the classic number 6, but
Yeah.
you know, you'd never see him score half a dozen.
Michael
really
Essien maybe another, but yeah.
Yeah, but Essien was more number 8, I think, box to box. Makelele or Mikel would generally be behind him on the pitch. But anyway, yeah, so obviously pretty good. I watched most of the match at the gym, actually, and I decided when it got to 2-2, I said, as soon as we score a third, I'm coming home. Okay, I'm coming back home. Blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, please get. I mean, I'm on that push bike. I'm on the bike. Come on, boys, especially with that free kick. Now you know why I'm so annoyed with Dallo on that free kick, because I was struggling at this point. But anyway,
selfish.
Yeah, I know. By the way, if it had got to 85 minutes, I would have come home. But fortunately, they got the goal sooner than that. I saw the comment in the chat about the midfield. I thought the midfield functioned pretty well today. Okay,
yeah, much better.
When you think about the opposition, and don't forget, of course, the last sort of quarter of the match we were against 10 men. But listen, we did dig in today as well, which is something I think in the latter third of last season was missing. Probably from that Palace match when we hung on really heroically after Casemiro got sent off. I don't recall a real digging in sort of moment in the rest of our season. Perhaps Barcelona, I guess you could say, which came around the same sort of time. But beyond that, I was really pleased with the way we reacted. The crowd helped a lot in the first half. I was probably a bit more worried than one or two other people here. At the end of that first half, I felt as though we did lose a bit of momentum that we had up until sort of probably about the 35-minute mark. But as you said, or someone said, we got that goal in the nick of time at the beginning of the second half. One final thing, I would probably err a bit more towards sort of freakish. I think Hammer said about one of the goals and sloppiness from the defenders. I've only seen the 2 goals once, I will say that. And so, but I didn't jump to the conclusion that I think someone did on Onana in goal. I thought I didn't put him down as being significantly culpable, but maybe I need to go back and watch them again.
Yeah, I've only seen them once or twice myself, so I'll probably need to do the same thing. But ultimately, it's irrelevant. Doesn't matter now. And we've got the 3 points and still got the 3rd goal, didn't we? Kai, it's a stacked panel today, isn't it? I love it. Normally, we have room for 3 others and myself, of course. And here we are with 5 others, and I love it. And get to see some faces that I haven't seen for a little while, so it's great. Kai, thanks for joining me as well, my man. I hope you're well. Loving the top you got on. How you feeling after that?
All right. Okay.
Here we go. Strap yourselves in.
First, let me say hello to everybody. How you guys doing? It's good to see you guys again. Mr. Silk, I haven't seen you in a while. You're looking good. You never age. It's fantastic. You look like you've been like 34 for like 20 years. It's fantastic.
You can give him that tender later, John.
All right. Firstly, this is actually the cursed United shirt. So I always, me and my wife and I are always talking about this. Every time I wear it, we always do nonsense. It's just inevitable. I almost took it off at 2-0, but the lads, I guess. All right. So today, I think I've never been so angry. I'm so glad everyone's so happy. But just now, I was actually looking in the camera to see if my vein is popping out the side of my head because I've got a headache. Because I was absolutely like the neighbors can hear everything I was saying. I think they think I'm probably an abusive husband or something like that. I am the only black guy in the neighborhood, so I don't know what's going on, but hope it's okay. So my thing is, when we went 3-2 up, right? You expect a team with veterans, a team with energy, a team which has footballers which understand the moment. Right. And the one thing that's been grossly missing over the last few weeks is nobody really understands the moment. So the moment is you're Manchester United. It's 3-2. You're playing against 10 men, meaning that you can create an overload on either side very, very easily. We did none of that. We did not pull them from side to side. We did not show that we have an extra man on the pitch. And it was infuriating because the entire time we were losing the ball when we didn't have to. So why we were doing this against Forest? And this was the thing. Forest don't have people that they don't have good possession players. They've got very good transition players, right? And the next thing that they were doing, of course, is putting it to Oni, I think that's how you say his name, to his head, and he was winning it. That's classic play. That's fantastic. I'm not really fussed about the way that they play the football, but I'm more fussed by the fact that Onana played for Inter, a team which very rarely were a possession-based team, but they were very much able to use the strengths, because when the ball went long, I think Pep was saying this, when the ball went long, there's Edin Dzeko, or there are players who can play on the one touch.
Yeah.
In Italy, they're very good when they transition, because they play one touch football, even when they build up from the back. And the one touches is like really difficult balls to control, but the technical level is so high. So that sort of helped us see the best of Onana. Now we're seeing an Onana who has to look like De Gea at times and launch it towards Jadon Sancho and Rashford, which will never, ever, 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 ever win a header, because they're not even trying, right? There was a moment near the end of the game where I say they don't understand the moment. Sancho gets the ball back to goal, right? He gets it, and then someone comes and then tackles him from the right-hand side. They win the ball, and then it's a 2-on-1. How is it a 2-on-1? Firstly, because we have more men on the pitch, and we lose the ball, and he just stands and he looks around, and Rashford is next to him and he looks around. Now we're playing with 9 men immediately, and then it's a free run in midfield. So for me, that is very, very much concerning, because how can you not understand the moment? How can you not understand where you are? How can a Jadon Sancho not look like a player with flair or with skill or with ability to just keep a hold of a football? And I love Rashford, but let's be very, very honest. His attitude in certain things that he does, it's extremely infuriating, especially when things aren't going well. The way he responds to certain things, right? And when I say response, I mean, so you lose the ball, and the quickness that you turn in which you respond to go and press, that you counter press, it's not there. And Ten Hag's side always have that. You lose the ball immediately, counter press, you try win it. If you don't win it, then everybody runs back behind the ball. But it's so poor. How is it so poor? He is 26. He is someone who should be raring to be, because we know what it takes to be great. And the thing is, it takes what Haaland does. It takes being world-class as a striker and finishing, but also to say, I've lost the ball, and to hunt it down. When the ball goes through, to hunt it down. Oni went through on goal, and Rashford is one of the quickest players, and he doesn't hunt him down. And these are bare fundamentals that I'm not understanding where we lack as a team. So it's hard to even assess the tactics, because of course we were great. There were moments, I mean, we were outplaying them for so many moments, but for us, it's so simple. Concede a goal, sleep, concede another one, struggle. And then everything is huff and puff, and then gas out at some point. There was times when we were building up, Onana had the ball, and he was getting pressed by 2 guys. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool, it's Onana. And then I just see Casemiro's like, nah, I'm not coming, bro. I'm not coming. He's actually looking, and he's actually drawing the line even further. He's like, I'm not coming. And one Bissaka and them are even going there like, nah, bro, we're not doing this today right now. And Onana is like, he's in his own box with no one pressing. He was like, okay, so I'm really going long to Jadon Sancho right now. Is that what we're doing, guys? All right, cool. Come straight back. So, for me, it's just fundamentals which are missing, which make me scream. It's not when we lose a game when it's football, then it's okay, because, it's things that happen, it's football. But when you're looking at guys and you're saying, like, what is Ten Hag thinking? Like, just be in his shoes. He's looking at that and he's saying, but we talked about this. And for me, it's very hard to discuss United as a serious team when those things are so lacking, because next week against Arsenal, you can't just sleep, because we ping, 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 goal, ping, 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 goal, ping, 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 goal. And then we're back again to square one. So for me, that is my assessment of this game. Fundamentals and not understanding the moment. We are expected to play good football, yes. But the other side of the game, Jesus Christ,
shouldn't be happening.
I am so mad. I can't believe you're playing against 10 men and you cannot keep the ball and you're Man United. Like, please, like, transfer markets, Amrabat, Todibo, everybody.
Can I add some sugar to this salt from Kai? Because I actually feel better today, and I know we've got the result, but I probably feel better today than I did after either of the 2 previous matches. I believe the number of chances that we're creating today was better, especially against a team that were obviously leading 2-0, so they could put men behind the ball. I think the performance against Wolves was horrendous. It's even much worse than the Spurs performance. That gave me a lot of concern. I did see progress today, though, and I do see. I get what you mean with Rashford, but actually, at least now I think we all now know that number 9 debate is gone. That was a debate for about 5 years with Marcus Rashford. We were concerned about his form at various points, but now we know the number 9 thing, we've done that. That's consigned to the dustbin. Yeah. We'll never be talking about that ever again. And I tell you what, today, I know we keep talking about this lack of a number 9 and how it's so obvious, but did you see how many balls that went across the face of the goal? And I'm thinking, Lindelof is our number 9 in this attack.
Martinez nearly has got an assist, isn't he?
I know. And I'm okay with false 9s and all that. But false 9 doesn't mean we don't have a number 9. False 9 means the person in that position comes back, for example. And then, so let's say Bruno's the false 9. So Bruno's the false 9. Okay, he's not in the box, but someone else is, And I don't mean Victor Lindelof, and he's like 2 meters away from the ball. And that's why I just can't wait for Højlund. And of course, it's a lot of pressure on the boy, but he is known for getting some of those tap-ins, and he can't come soon enough.
Yeah. And listen, I do agree in that aspect that I think the fact that we don't have a finisher probably makes it look worse in moments, because a lot of the times, if it's 2-0 already, then the game is already looking a lot better. Then the other team has to commit, then it probably becomes 3. So probably in that case, I think finishing chances is then even a bigger issue in terms of what we do in the rest of the game. But what I'm just saying is we can't afford to not put 100% when that's not happening, when it's 0-0, or when we're not finishing the chances. We have to still be dangerous until the last moment. We can't look leggy against Nottingham Forest with 11 men. That's all I'm just saying. And that's in here, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great points, well made. Really great to listen to you two. I'm going to have to get you on more for sure. Arsenal next weekend, big test. And hopefully it means that Højlund is fit, and hopefully we can kind of see that difference that I was on about last week. Kai was talking about us on the reaction last time, and made some very good points about that. So we need to see that, don't we? Guys, Jonathan, Freddie, Hammer, going to come to you on Bruno Fernandes. Lots of criticism, obviously. I'll come to you first, Jonathan. Previous 2 games, a lot of criticism. Was great today, I thought. Very, very influential. Very much in all of the goals that we scored. Got the penalty at the end. But your thoughts on him, please, buddy.
Yeah, I said this to Keane on a previous show. I think the reason Bruno gets so heavily criticised is because he sets his own standards so high. From the minute he came in the door at Old Trafford, he came in a mire when we were at one of our lowest ebbs under Ollie, and he literally lifted the club single-handedly into the Champions League the following season. I think his second season, his first full season at the club, he hit 25 goals. He just set the bar so high from the minute he entered the club that, he's just an easy target.
His own downfall, really. Isn't it?
Exactly.
Just on that, actually, very quickly, on Bruno Fernandes, and I lost it, and it was really good. Right, so since making the Premier League debut in February 2020, no player, right, has scored and assisted in more games in the competition than Bruno, and that's 12. That's crazy. Amongst all the stats and goals and assists, that's crazy. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah, he's just unbelievable. I think it was Kevin De Bruyne even said it in an interview during the week. I'm not too sure where it was. He just said, he's just a creative master. He's a freak, and he'd love to play with him. And rightly so, because can you imagine what those two would be doing at Manchester City under Pep if he was there? I think he's an easy target as well, because he is a and I mean, sometimes he frustrates me. And United as a club overall are an easy target when things aren't going well. And who else is going to be targeted more than the captain and the guy who's always in the referee's ear, Bruno? If I said it before on a previous show, if he played for any other club, I'd probably hate him myself. He's one of those guys that's just an easy target. But like you said, Mark, he was really good today. It was a captain's performance today. We went 2-0 down. He was the guy dragging us back into it. It's something that we want to see more of. And he's going to be instrumental next week against Arsenal. And the key to getting the best out of Bruno is just to have a better balanced midfield. That's been the problem in the last 2 games as well. Casemiro has just looked a little bit off the pace. Hopefully that gets better and better now with each game he plays. And, you know, I think it was no coincidence that we saw better Bruno today with Christian Eriksen in the middle of the park. He just brings that little bit of composure and experience that Mason Mount just hasn't brought yet. But look, I mean, I wouldn't be throwing the boot into Mason Mount yet. I think he will come good eventually. It's just about finding his feet in that system under Ten Hag.
Yeah, just like worrying about losing or not playing well in your first 2 games, but still got 6 points out of it. It's too early in the season, right? There's happened yet. You know, still a window that isn't closed. You know, as I said, we lost the first 2 games last season, and what was that? It didn't mean anything. So I think that we've just got to try and have a little bit of patience, be a little bit more pragmatic, and just wait. It will be okay. Freddie, have you got anything to add on your lookalike, Bruno Fernandes?
I just think he's a quality player. I think Jonathan sort of stole my point at the end. He's one of those people who other teams hate him, but when he plays for your team, you absolutely love him, and you see all of the amazing things that he brings to the squad. And I actually think, sort of linking it to your previous point about the striker, he's creating all these chances. Once we do hopefully get Højlund in the team and we actually have a functioning front line, you're going to see the best out of Bruno, not just in his performances, but in his sort of return and output as well. I mean, today, leading from the front, one of my favourite things to see in United players is just hunger and, you know, desire. I think there were multiple times when he sort of tackled the ball, then he won the second ball, won the third ball. He was fighting from minute 1 to minute 114 or whatever it was. And yeah,
too many.
He's too many. I mean, that's a separate conversation with that extra time in the second half. But what he brings is just incredible. I mean, some of the passes, the set piece is brilliant.
We were talking about this in the group chat, and our buddy Shane said this. There isn't a pass that he cannot do. He's so good, and he is top 2. I think him and Kevin De Bruyne, I think, are absolutely leaps and bounds above anyone, in my opinion. And I think we saw that today. And as you said, you both alluded to captain's performance, lots of leadership, lots of frustration still. But, you know, he can get away with it a bit more now being the captain. So I'm fine with that.
Definitely. And I think he had a bit more of a free roam sort of today. He was everywhere. He didn't really, you know, stick to one position. I think Ten Hag just gave him the freedom to float, and luckily he has got the sort of football intelligence to sort of be in the right position and play, you know, track back when he needs to, and get in the right attacking positions too. And I think it does help when you've got Rashford back on the left, because he can play that switch ball to him. And he has, when Rashford is on the left, and I think Anthony had a relatively good game today. You've got those pace in those wide positions, and the attack, those wide players were playing very wide certainly in the first half, and that brings Bruno's strengths, picking out to them and just stretching the Forest defence. So yeah, I think today suited him. The midfield looked more balanced, and yeah, hopefully when Højlund comes in, you're going to see an even better Bruno. So. Yeah,
for sure. I was just thinking to myself as well, you know, we seem to forget as well, he did seem to play a very much deeper role last season. And I thought that maybe with Mount coming in, and I think I've already said this before in a previous show, and apologies, but maybe you'd see Bruno sort of dropping deeper, which would allow Mount to get forward. And then that space that we've had, particularly in the first 2 games, wouldn't be so apparent. So, you know, I feel like that could be an option. He was far more disciplined and as I say, played further back. As John has put in the comments as well, he's everywhere, isn't he, John Silk? He's in there talking miraculously, wonderfully, and also in the comments too, what an absolute soldier. He's just hit the like button though, so make sure that you get on that as well. Hammer, anything to add to Bruno Fernandes there?
Well, more so on what some of Freddie and was saying as well. I mean, yeah, in terms of Bruno specifically, I mean, I love Bruno. I think I think Jonathan said it. He set the bar so high for himself in those first couple seasons. So people are just being a little bit of a pain, which is fine. You know, I mean, I don't mind it. I think as United fans, we know everybody's going to be a pain in whatever direction things are going. So Bruno, I'm happy with how he's playing. I think things are going to become a lot better. And that's where I was going to say, coming off what Freddie was saying about the kid coming in, Højlund. just everybody take a second and think of your minds and go back to last season when we had Weghorst up there. And I remember being on these podcasts and saying, the man, I think him and Harry Maguire can compete for how goddamn slow they are. And it was just like there were so many opportunities where we saw Weghorst just 2 miles or however term you want to use, slow of being able to get onto a ball that was played to him. Højlund is going to have the speed to get onto those balls. So whether it's Bruno, Eriksson, whoever else, there's going to be more opportunities that continue to happen, and we're going to have somebody who can get onto it.
Yeah. And hopefully that is the case. I feel like you're singing his praises when we haven't seen him kick a ball yet. But
yes,
I do like the positivity. That's what it's all about. Absolutely. Bruno Fernandes has come out, obviously, post-match interview and all that. So on going 2-0 down, I knew we had time to change the situation, but we kept calm. We started to keep the ball at the back and gain confidence. And after that, the game was always on our side. I love that. We created a lot of shots in the first half. Overall, the performance was really good, apart from those first 4 minutes. So I said 5 minutes. He's telling me it's 4, so it's even better, isn't it? And then he goes on to say it wasn't the perfect start for us, but we kept control. Oh, no, he's already said that. Never mind. Right, moving on to Rashford then. I thought he was very good as well today. I know that he didn't get a goal. We kind of have a bit of an expectation now, don't we, on that? And but he was kind of a handful, really creating a lot of problems, getting in between the lines, and of course got the assist as well. John, do you want to come in and talk to me about Rashford today, please?
Yeah, sure. I think sometimes he gets a bit of unfair criticism, particularly after the cup final. I think there was a few little snippets that went around on the internet of like 15 seconds of where a high ball comes towards him and it didn't work out. And that just did the rounds. And suddenly Rashford was to blame for us losing the cup final. And I think there was a lot more going on there than that. I'm pretty happy. I mean, the problem is with him, he's very streaky. We saw that probably more so last season than a lot of years where he will go on these amazing scoring runs and then there'll be 6 games without a goal. But I remember a certain Wayne Rooney being a bit similar, and I still think he had a pretty stellar career. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to have him on the left. There's obviously questions about the right-hand side with Anthony, of course, and obviously other potentials being Sancho or Garnacho. I think they're all fairly interchangeable whether they play on the left or the right. But I'm really excited about that. The Højlund thing, by the way, there's a couple of good videos out there flying around on the internet that I've watched. I think from Statman Dave. I think he may have done a live show on this yesterday, which I saw talking about Højlund. And I think The Athletic as well, which is quite exciting. I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but something that Hammer mentioned regarding Harry Maguire and Weghorst. One of the most surreal moments of last season, I was actually there in San Sebastian when we played Sociedad away, was when Harry Maguire went up front. For about half an hour, as we were desperately trying to get a goal so we could finish top of the group and therefore not have to play potentially Barcelona in the next round. And I know it was a great result against Barcelona in the end, but I think we could have done with a couple of less matches going into those last few weeks of the season. But yeah, so it's kind of funny how those two get brought around. Listen, Weghorst was what it was. It was almost a sign as well to the people upstairs saying, look, this is what we're playing with right here. And you know what, when it comes to Ten Hag, one of the things that rarely gets mentioned, but I like about him, is he is a bit left field with players. For me, Mason Mount he almost falls into that category. He's not someone who jumped to everyone's mind. He's the antithesis of Jose Mourinho, in that Jose Mourinho would just buy, Didier Drogba, he's the number 9 everyone wants in Europe. I want him. I need a holding midfielder. I need Paul Pogba, whatever. Whoever it would be, Lukaku as well, would just buy obvious players and often make it work. But I liked, Ferguson was famous for left field signings. Oh, what's this? This is even the defeats.
Love that. Lovely. Shameful plug. Go on.
Ferguson, and very well written, if you don't mind me saying, and check it out in all good bookshops. But listen, he was famous. I mean, Cantona being the obvious one, but trying to get Di Canio or even Dwight York was nuts. No one was interested in him, especially at 12 million. So I like this. Eriksson on I think it was on a free, wasn't it, last summer?
Yep.
Nobody's really thinking about these players, and I quite like that. I know Weghorst was what it was. But for a few weeks, it sort of worked out. And of course, he had his limitations. But I forget where we're going with that. We're Rashford anyway. I'm very happy with him on the left, and fingers crossed he can continue the form that he showed today.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Unfortunately, because it's 6 of us, it makes it a little bit difficult in trying to get round to everyone. So we're probably going to come to ratings in a minute. But what I'll do is when we do the ratings, just give me a couple of minutes, no more, of your viewpoints.
Discrimination.
I'm sorry. I will. All right. I'll give you one more, Kai. Just bear with me a second. Bruno Fernandes completed more final third passes, 24, and created the most amount of chances, 3 on the pitch today between these two teams. Marcus Rashford, game by numbers, 85% pass accuracy, 51 touches, 20 out of 33 passes completed, 19 out of 23 final third passes completed, 3 ground drills, 2 out of 3 dribbles completed, 2 key passes, 1 penalty, 1 assist. Pretty good performance, if you ask me. Kai, go for it. Talk to me.
No, I just want to say, actually, no, I've calmed down a bit. You guys are great. You know, you guys have a calming aura. You know, Jonathan with the hair. I was like, oh my God, shit. But anyways, everyone's so smooth. So I'm calm now. I'm good now. I just want to say, I saw something about the expected goals that we have. And out of the top 4 teams or 5 teams with the highest expected goals, we have, you know, the least goals. Right, so we have expected goals of 7.2, and we've scored 4 goals. And for Brentford is 7.1, and they've scored 6. Brighton 6.2, and they've scored 8. Arsenal 6.1, and they scored 5. And Chelsea 6.1, and they scored 5. So I think that Højlund sort of, you know, point that everyone has, that. Yeah, it sort of emphasizes that as well. But also, we also need to just make sure we don't then just make Højlund the focus for all the goals, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a problem as well. Yeah. And I think that people will use that as a scapegoat again, which, you know, got to be careful.
But I do think the one thing about him as well, I think John was talking about the videos flying around. If you notice, the one thing which he does is he's actually a willing runner in the channels. He's not sort of a pretender when it comes to running and absolutely getting in a physical fight with the center back that's drawn out wide. And we see it happens a lot with us, actually, when teams put the center back out wide and Martinez has to go out and cover. So I think with that willing runner, he's going to create a lot of tap-ins. So what I'm expecting is the high percentage sort of chances that might create, you know, sort of chaos in that box. And we need to score the tap-ins, right? That's the one thing about United we miss for a few years. We need to score tap-ins, dirty goals, or someone's bump. Casemiro does it very well. So yeah, anyways.
And I'm sorry, Stuart, I know you said about pressure on the kid, but I don't give a shit. I've seen sorry, by the way, I've seen some of the videos. He's a mini me Cavani, all right? And that's what we need in this team right now. Someone who's just going to continue. I don't know. I mean, he's not the level, but his effort and his runs and the way the style is mini me of that. And that's what this team needs.
Remember, it's Manchester United. Hey, the pressure, when we say pressure, it's different. Right?
All right, pressure's already there, so might as well say it.
We're talking Neil Custis will just wake up tomorrow and say something that you've never, like something that's so left field, and the whole family will be struggling. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying, that, you know, we just need to make sure we protect our guy, and, you know.
We'll protect him on this channel. I'm absolutely sure of that. I had Weghorst's back for a very long time, and I still would have until I was blue in the face. Anyway, the good news is we are up to 5th. So, you know, it's not all looking as bad now, isn't it? But of course, a few other teams need to play just below us. Liverpool, West Ham in particular, Newcastle as well, of course. Right, yeah, we're going to do player ratings now. Obviously, 40 minutes in. And apologies, guys, that it's only been a couple of times each. I do apologise for that. But of course, you'll all be on again soon. You can take it upon yourselves. Anyway, let's come to you then first, Jonathan. Andre Onana, up to 2 minutes. Say whatever you like, and then a rating at the end, please, buddy.
Yeah, it was probably his least impressive game of the 3 we've seen him so far. I was so impressed with him in the first game and the game against Spurs last week, despite the defeat. But yeah, it was a poor performance today. But when I first looked at the the first Nottingham Forest goal, I was kind of wondering what are you doing, what's after happening there. But it was actually very good play by the Forest forward. He just dummied the ball really well twice at speed, and he sat Onana down. But I don't really think it was a game from today overall. And look, on the basis of things, I'd say probably in around a 6 for
I think that's
rating.
fair.
You know,
Yeah.
he wasn't exceptional. He made a couple of saves that you would expect him to make, but
Mm-hmm.
but nothing special. I think the game against Arsenal, that would be a much bigger metric next week, because those are the sort of games that we brought him in for now. You know, a team like Arsenal who are going to press you up high, want to pin you back in their own half. I know I think it was Kai mentioned earlier on about Casemiro not looking for the ball and not looking for the ball short, and we're having to resort to long balls up to Sancho. We're going to need guys like Casemiro and Bruno and the fullbacks looking for the ball short next week, because if we continue to kick the ball long against Arsenal next week, we are going to get crucified, and we could be looking at another 5 or 6-0 defeat, because I know they had a bit of a scare there today and they drew 2-2 with Fulham in typical Arsenal style. But if they turn the style on against us and we give them needless possession away, they are going to punish
2-2
us.
in the end? Was it
2-2 in the end? Yeah. So look, overall, I think Onana was average enough today, but I'll give him a 6.
Can I say he made one big save when everyone was sleeping? That normally would have flown in the net, and it would have been 3-3. There's something that happened, and he was awake, and he just made that one tip over there, and it was actually a hard shot. So anyways.
Yeah, I think I see your points. I don't disagree with you, Jonathan. To be honest with you, I think he was more apparent in the first 2 games. I agree, but I think that for 90% of the game, he wasn't in it. So I think that kind of also emphasises, as Kai's alluded to there, you know, he was awake, he was on his toes, and he was still able to make the save at the crucial time. So listen, none of us, we don't, of course, but other people that want to go in on Onana and try and find that little chink in the armour, you're not going to find it. I think he's been great, a great addition to the team so far.
Can I just offer a slightly alternative? I think he, for some reason, he didn't come off his line. He seemed very reluctant to come off his line today, and I don't know why, because he has been. I think for the first goal, he could have come out. It was a 1-on-1. Ultimately, I think the striker did do well, but he just didn't. You know, a goalie of that standard, if I look at Alisson come out doing a 1-on-1, you know, he'll make himself as big as possible, put the striker off. I think he just gave the striker that much time to make the decision when he shouldn't have had that. And there was another time that sticks out where I think he stayed in his line again, and Lindelof screaming at him to come out. And it could, you know, on another day, the striker one year he could have nicked the ball and created a chance there. So there were a few shaky bits. I agree. He wasn't actually in the game for 90 minutes. He made the good save. I think it was Chris Wood towards the end.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah, a little bit concerning why he stayed on his line. But yeah, it was a one-off. He's not been doing that the past few games. So yeah, hopefully it's just a one-off and he sort of reverts back to what he has been starting at Arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's hope. And listen, who knows what that's down to today. And I think, as you say, one time within 3 games, you know, it's going to happen sometimes. I think everybody was caught off guard. I was just sort of sitting down getting ready to watch at this point. Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. Right, moving over to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I'll stay with you, Freddie, if you want to give me your thoughts.
Give him a 7. I think he was quite steady today. The good thing about Wan-Bissaka is he is, I think, starting to become quite consistent. He is churning out 7 out of 10 and 8 out of 10 most weeks. I think his attacking play is getting better. There was a little action that stuck out when he sort of digged it around the attacker, which I thought was superb, and then used his pace to run around him. He's getting a lot more crosses in, and he's varying his crosses, which I like. He usually used to do a little dink to the back post, which most defenders or the goalkeeper can come and get, but he's now cutting back, so it's making him a little bit more unpredictable. I think he's joining the midfield very well as well, so he is overlapping, and as is the fashion of today, tucking inside. And I think that's why we saw better Casemiro today. The fullbacks did do their inverted job a lot better, and we didn't allow the midfield to become overrun. And I think Wan-Bissaka does that well. It was good to see. I think Dalot does that better than Shaw on the left. I'm not saying he's a better left back.
Every time he's played on that left-hand side, he's been so good. You know, he's done it about 4 or 5 times now, and he's been really good on that left-hand side.
Good cover.
Yeah.
So certainly with this system as well. But I think Wan-Bissaka tactically is improving game by game. So I'd give him a 7 today. He made a few good tackles. But yeah, a steady 7.
Yeah, absolutely spot on.
I think it's time we tell people that Wan-Bissaka is actually just a different profile, but very good player. I think people just don't understand. Different profile.
Very underrated.
Exactly. Very good, because it's very rare to see players with that good. He's got very high technical, I don't know, consistency, can I say? A lot of the times he keeps the ball, a lot of the times he's press resistant. It just doesn't look great for some. I love the way it looks. I love the fact that someone who doesn't look great can do something great. I always love that. So, yeah, we need to give him some props like Freddie did there.
There you go.
Just one final point. Sorry, I
No,
don't
go on.
know. I need to watch the goals again, but the first goal, I think he lost the header, which then led to the striker running through. So I'd like to see his heading improved. There's been a few times at the back post as well. He sort of reverted to what he used to do a few years ago, like just turn his body the wrong way, not be square on. So yeah, heading would be an only criticism, but I think he's improved massively under Ten Hag, which is a big positive.
Yeah, absolutely right. Spot on, both of you. And I think, look, it's easy for us to remember the negative times that we have seen. We've all seen it. But we also have to give the same plaudits to players that can turn it around and become as consistent as they are. There's a reason why everyone's talking in such a positive light these days. Do you know what I mean? And I think that, we should just be grateful for that. And I think you've both been spot on there. Hammer, Martinez, and over to you, buddy.
Ooh, nice. I love Martinez. I think, I'm going to go away from the first 5 minutes of everything. How about that?
We're ignoring that too, don't worry.
Yeah. So I think there was a point in the match where I forget his name, whoever the striker was up top, was favoring his side because of the size difference and the advantage, and he was playing the guy well, which one of the commentators on the stream I was watching was like, "Oh, Martin was handling it pretty well, surprising." I'm like, it's not surprisingly. If everyone's still caught up on his 5'9", the aggressive style he plays, unless it's somebody like freaking Holland, I don't think it's going to matter in terms of somebody trying to bully him, because he's just going to bully them. So I think he played well, other than obviously the shit show in the beginning. And he also, what I like about him, which I've been noticing is, and I think we just couldn't get around to it with Lindelof coming in for the second half. I don't know if we heard anything about Varane or what the reasoning was.
I haven't seen anything yet, actually. I've been trying to look out for it, but nothing as of yet.
I want to also give Martinez his credit of being able to pair with people so well. And, with different, whether it's injuries, rotation, whatever, he's been doing really well. So I'll give him probably a 7, because I think once you get to 8, 9, and that type of stuff, it's a higher level of a grading. But yeah, I think he played pretty well and handled the different situations well.
People forget that he was injured badly for like a long time.
Yeah.
And everyone, remember how many years people gave Virgil van Dijk to recover from his injury, or how long people talk about different players. So many players get an injury, they say, "Oh no, give him some weeks." But everyone forgets that Martinez actually, sometimes he looks pretty shaky at sometimes where you don't expect it, like last season, where he gets the timing wrong. And I think it's the injury as well. He's taking his time to get back in the rhythm. Just wanted to point that out.
No, absolutely, great point. Just a couple of things before we carry on, John. I'll come to you obviously in the next 2 in a minute. I'm going to give you 2 players. Varane just come out. He had complaints. We didn't want to risk him. I know if it was bad. I don't know if it was bad. We'll have to wait. So I think there was just maybe a bit of a knock or something.
I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah. And Lindelof came on, and I think you're right. I wanted to come to that as well. I think Martinez, the reason why he's so good at, potentially pairing up with people is because he's got that leadership quality. He's there communicating, telling people what to do, and they're kind of following and doing as they're told, essentially.
Sorry. I just want to say real quick, because I forgot to make this comment earlier. John, just because of the angle, I don't know what you're drinking, but it looks, at first I thought you were drinking just straight a bottle of wine, and I was like, that's not. You should get a glass, but I'm not sure what you're drinking.
Beer, cider, what is it?
Beer.
Okay.
Beer. There you go. There you go. Anyway, as you're here and you're now unmuted, if you can give me a rating on Varane and Lindelof as well. I know 45 minutes each, but if you can sum those 2 up for me.
Can I give 6.5? Am I allowed to give half scores?
You can give whatever you want. Yeah, we do points, we do whatever. So go on.
I mean, Lindelof played a half and didn't really put a foot wrong, but can you really go much higher than that? Really, because he wasn't. he didn't have a huge amount to do, especially his half of that half. They were down to 10 men. Listen, the defense still has to collectively take some responsibility for both the first 2 goals. I get some of the points regarding Onana on the 2 goals. I must say that the one conclusion I did come to on one of the goals was that he kind of made it easy for the striker, so I understand that, and I know I'm going off at a tangent there. But yeah, I'd give them both 6.5 each. Varane, I guess, maybe let's bring him down to 6. But I do hope Hammer, from your comment, by the way, you're not a big fan of Varane. Is that what I get? Because you seem to be quite happy he went off.
No. I am a fan of Varane. I'm tired of his weak ass ankles. Like he got some some freaking giraffe ankles or some shit. Somebody think some new ankles. That's what I'm annoyed about.
Oh, giraffe! So Hammer, well, you're hammering the giraffes today. I mean,
I don't know. It was.
Are they known for weak ass ankles? I didn't know that.
No, I just
let me Google.
For some reason, I just whatever animal with skinny ankles is what popped into my head. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I like it. I like where you're going here.
Giraffe, weak ass ankles, nothing. Nothing.
Got David Attenborough here in the corner bringing us some info. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I find certain players that keep getting injured, such as Varane, a bit frustrating. And when he went off at halftime, I was thinking, come on, because we really need to try and keep him and Martinez or fit throughout the season.
That's why I said I was 100% okay with it. Not because I was happy he went off. I was like, okay, if something was a little finicky, I don't need him, spraining something,
making it worse.
Yeah.
No, I got that. Yeah, understood. Right, let's speed this up a little bit. Diogo, you did both, didn't you? You did. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I lost my trail of thought there. I was looking at giraffes and bad ankles and all this, and lost my trail of thought. Right, Kai, I'll come over to you then, buddy. Diogo Dalot on that left-hand side, please, my man.
I think Dalot gets, I think, a 6.5, because I think if I was probably to rate Wan-Bissaka, I'll probably give him a 7, and Dalot doesn't get a 7 because of the free kick, which he was looking at, and Bruno gave him the bombastic side eye. I saw it, guys. We all knew Bruno was passing it to Dalot. I saw the side eye on the camera. He did this.
Yeah,
they don't even have a language barrier excuse. I mean,
right?
No, they don't. Yeah.
Nothing. He could have just said "Bora bora, and then done out here, slid it through. Come on. Anyways.
And then he looked at him to say, "This is your fault."
Right? He's like, dude, come on. You should have thought. Dude, he wasn't even interested. He was just like this. Nah, 6.5.
6.5. Yeah, I think that's fair. Right, Jonathan, Casemiro.
Yeah, definitely best performance of the season from Casemiro. I think he's still just a little bit off the mark, but really good today. It was like watching him last season, that box-to-box role, even though he was playing the 6, getting forward, that goal try. Could have had 2 goals today. I think he was a solid 7 today. Definitely. I think there's more in him, but hopefully he saves that for Arsenal next week. But I think a solid 7 today.
Yeah, I think that's very well put, actually. And I think he just looks a little bit leggy at the minute, but I think that will come with a few more games and a great performance, as you say. Freddie, obviously over to you, and Bruno Ericsson.
7.
Sorry.
I think the first goal was vital. Came at a very good time, and he took it very well, getting in front of the defender. Good to see him back. I think he gave the midfielder a good balance. Those 3 played the majority of games together last year and went on a bit of an unbeaten streak from memory. So they obviously know each other's games. And it was good to see him last the full match. Usually he gets hooked around the 60th minute. So hopefully that doesn't have a consequence in the coming games. I'll give him a 7 and good to see him on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Over to you then, Hammer, with Bruno Fernandes, please.
I am going to give Bruno an 8. He got the winning goal, captain's goal. I missed his little hop in his penalty, but I'm guessing people started figuring it out, so I guess he had to stop doing that. But yeah, I think he played well, and I think we did touch on it earlier, right? And I think some of the people complaining is just because it's some of the stuff's not coming off all the time, but you're gonna get that with somebody like Bruno because he's the player. And I feel like we talked about this a couple of years ago too. Is like
We did, Hammer. You're right. It
Right?
was me, and I've said it to Freddie as well before. Bruno Fernandes is a risky player type, okay? And sometimes with risky players, they're going to try those risky things, and of course, it's a risk. Sometimes it's not going to work out, and that's why it could be frustrating. But when it comes off, how great does it look?
It's great. It's beautiful when it comes.
And
off.
that's why
And-
Kevin De Bruyne loves him, because
Yes.
they're both risky players. He
Yes.
just sees himself. He's like, oh wow, I could have done. I would have done that.
De Bruyne just got better people. That's why. For now. But yeah, man, I think he played well. I'll give him an 8, and I'm gonna assume. Yeah, looking at the front three, I don't think anybody else is gonna get anything higher than an 8. So, yeah, man, I'll give him the 8. He got the winning goal, and the yellow that he got, I think, was kind of dumb. The freaking guy was trying to stand over him or whatever. So I don't know. You just want to let somebody do that. I wouldn't really. But yeah, I'm fine with everything that he did today, and more games like that from him. I don't need Bruno banging in goals. Like, for example, I'm sorry, just to go on a tangent. I know we got to finish soon.
Go on.
Like on
No,
the
go on.
first goal, the first goal came off from him taking that attempt at that shot from that far out, and the keeper couldn't hold it, so it rotated back out. Rashford played it across the front, and Eriksen tapped it in. He can do that, but I'm much rather see Bruno just get certain type of opportunities like this, and everything else is him creating for everybody else.
Yeah, creating chances. There's a reason why last season he was top of that in top 5 leagues, even though that could have been a better season, and he's had that for many years pretty much. So we were just very lucky to see the amount of goals and assists in his first season and a half. Okay, that's the way you got to look at it. Freddie?
He did take a lot more long shots today than I think he has done, and it's good. Not all of them come off, but and I appreciate it's probably because Forest were playing a lot deeper at that point after they scored early. But what it can do, if you know that someone's going to take long shots, you are naturally then going to close them down, and that does create space for other players. So hopefully that continues, and he has got a thunderbolt in him and a sort of a wonder goal. So I think if hopefully he continues that, and use today as a stepping stone for future games, because I think it was his best game of the season so far.
You were a bit tepid with your description of Thunderbolt. I would have said Thunder Bastard. But there you go. Right, moving
and I would have
on.
said something that y'all wouldn't have liked on.
Yeah, don't hammer, don't. Right, we'll move on. So the next one, Anthony on the right hand side, obviously. Over to you, John.
I am probably amongst the fan base are a bit more optimistic about Anthony than most. And yeah, I'm going to give him a 6 today. And probably would give him 6 in each of the 3 games. Maybe even that's being a bit generous. I do think we still need to be patient. It's a year, okay? I remember Ronaldo being probably 2.5 years of just us pulling our hair out at various times. So I'm still, I know he's very expensive and we want results as soon as possible. But actually, this is one area of the pitch where we can be quite fluid. We've got 4 or 5 potentials, and I'm pretty optimistic that 2 of these potentials, whether it be him, Garnacho, perhaps even Sancho as well, will end up, working out and being a big tick. But he's not delivering at the moment. The cutting inside sometimes can be a bit predictable. He was a bit unlucky with that shot against Spurs hitting the post, but he's the one. When we're thinking about making changes, he's pretty much top of the list. He's even beating Eriksen, as somebody pointed out earlier. That there was a moment when Eriksen looked over, I think, at around about 65, 70 minutes. I don't know if you saw that, Freddie. And I thought, it's Eric. I think he just made a foul. Actually, funny enough, he just committed a foul. And I thought, here we go. The 65-year-old with a walking stick is going to get taken off. But fortunately for him, there's Anthony on the pitch. So when there's Anthony on the pitch, there's always a chance that someone's going to get hooked before you. So yeah, 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Do you want to come in on that, Freddie?
Yeah, can I just say, Anthony, he's a very funny one, isn't he? And John sort of alluded to it at the beginning of this statement. He used his right foot once, and it was a good cross. And actually, I think Bruno just sliced it wide, or he dragged it wide, so he should have had a goal there.
He used it twice against Wolves, so it is an improvement. Listen, when you go from not using it at all to then using it twice in one game and 100% in another, more,
what really frustrates me is we know he's going to side foot it onto the far post. Put your laces through it, and go for the near post. At least have some variation on your left foot. If you're not going to use your right as much as a sort of winger who's more adept with both feet. So I think he just does need to sort of adapt that element side of his game. He was unlucky not to score today. I think it was quite a good save actually from Turner to tip it around. But put your laces through it or go for the near post, because you are just too easy to read.
Funnily enough, that's the exact thing that Ronaldo kind of incorporated into his game around about 06, 07.
Yes.
I'm very fortunate that René Moulenstein, who penned the forward for this book, gave me some insights into sort of, there was a time when I think Ronaldo was suspended for 3 games and he was talking about, ambitions for this season and what you need to do. He showed him loads of goals from Sheringham, Solskjaer and York. And he's like, here we go. We're going to sit down and watch these. And what do you notice in common about some of these goals? And there was a bit of variety there, and also placing it and putting it in different places. Sometimes putting your laces through it, as you suggested, Freddie. And maybe somebody needs to sit down with Anthony and do something similar.
Yeah. And I think that will probably, listen, we can't on one hand talk about how great Eric has done in the first season, with the likes of Rashford, with the likes of Garnacho and others, and then say, well, he's not doing it this season. We just don't know. I'm sure he's working on those things, and I'm sure we will see a different side to that game.
Benny McCarthy as well, I think.
Yeah, Benny McCarthy, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've spoken about him a few times. John, if you want to reach out to your man Rene and get him to come on the show, that would be wonderful. Love to have a chat with him.
He's got a book out. He's got a book out right now. So, and he's fairly. When I wrote the book, did I mention I wrote? Anyway, I'll put that back on the shelf now. He's pretty keen to talk. Let's say with the media. I know he does a lot of stuff with some of the other United channels, and I've got his email address. I'm sure I can reach out to him and probably just get him on and talk about his book, basically.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be wonderful. Please do. Let us know. Anyway, we've got 2 more. I've lost the train of thought again. Not even giraffes this time. Rashford then on the left-hand side. Kai.
Can I do Martial rather?
Go for it. Yeah.
Because I know someone will be much more happy about Rashford than me. All right, and that'll be Marc because he's smiling. Look at that smile, Marc. Beautiful smile, Marc. Lovely stuff.
I'm not talking about Rashford. I'm going to be giving that to Jonathan. So anyway,
equally nice smile, even better. I can say that. Anyways, Martial. So I think he had actually a okay game based on his low bar. So like his bar of good is a few good touches here and there, a few flashes. He had that, so he did something. But the one thing which I've now noticed about him as it's regressed is the physicality that he has to be able to do just small things like, just keeping the ball or just keeping a player off, completing a pass. There's a lot of technical things that have dropped off with this game, which is a bit, it's a bit worrying. So I would give him something like a 6-ish. The one thing that was not supposed to disappear was also his finishing ability. If his pace disappeared, he was supposed to keep his finishing at least. But he's also not. His finishing has regressed so badly. The way he strikes the ball, the power in which he strikes the ball. I don't know. There's just something about the physicality in there. I always compare him to Anelka. That's my comparison to him if they were like in their pomp, and the way Anelka kept his ability to at least finish, his ability to do certain things that allowed him to, prolong his career. So I think there's something going on, but I don't think he'll be a footballer for that long, to be honest with you, at the highest level because of just the physicality. I don't know what's going on with him, but it's a bit sad, to be honest, for such a talented player. I know it must be annoying for him as well, that every time he comes back, he always, but anyways, 6 for me.
Yeah, fair points. Good points. So Jonathan, last but not least, my good man, Marcus Rashford?
Yeah, probably looking at his stats in the game overall, you probably should be looking at a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 because he set up the first goal, won the penalty, heavily involved in the equalising goal. But I think you have got to take a half a point, if not a full point, off for his overall work rate and attitude at times on the pitch. Just lacked. I mean, especially for that first goal, sometimes he tends to just drop the head. Like, your work rate has got to be greater in a Ten Hag team, and what Ten Hag is trying to build. You lose the ball, you've got to react instantly. You've just, it's his overall reactions and work rate off the ball just still lets him down for me. He's a great player, local lad. He shouldn't have any excuses not to be working his absolute socks off for this club. You know, I think if Bruno wasn't at the club, he'd be a good shout even for captain. You know, like a local Manchester lad, over 300 appearances for the club, over 100 goals for the club. He's tailor-made to be a future captain himself. So the attitude off the ball has definitely got to improve. So I think just based on that fact, I would put him down to between a 7 and a 7.5, because overall you see how dangerous he still is, even when he's not applying himself. So imagine how dangerous he could be if you deploy himself to his full potential. But so I think between a 7 and a 7.5 for him today.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a fantastic summary, actually. And I have to say, all of the ratings today were, I think, pretty spot on. So thank you for that. I'm not saying I'm always right, but I would say that, you know, they were all very, very good today. Right, obviously, thanks to everyone on the show today. It's wonderful, as always, to give up your time. Great to see you back, Freddie, as well. John, lovely to talk to you. Can listen to you all night. We've got a big show coming up on Sunday. Another OT theory. We spoke, we saw one a couple of weeks ago. Jamie Andrews hosting that. John Silk messaged me about that after, saying how much of a good show it was. And we got another one. So the topic this Sunday is the best 11, 08 or 99. Okay. Common topic. And we might even, I don't know what it's going to do, but I suggested at least doing a kind of best 11 from the two at the very end. But yeah, it'll be a really, really good one. Some good guests for that one as well. I think there's still a couple of spots. So I'm sure if any of you want to come on, please let us know. Speak to Jamie as well. He's the man to go to. Anyway, thanks everybody in the comments as well today. Some good conversations going on. And thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. And hopefully we'll see you again on Sunday. Until next time.